Hey kids, welcome back to 396 Guitars. It's been a hot minute since I made a video. I've been doing some work in the shop. We put carpet down, pulled up the wooden floor, put carpet down to kind of help the acoustics in here, but also because, well, the wooden floor was just a pain in the butt. We have a nice Martin D28 in the shop today. I believe it's a D28, yeah. I just had another Martin. Yeah, it's a D28, sorry. And yeah, it fooled me when I first pulled it out of the case. I go, oh, nice, this one's got some age on it. No, it's a relatively new instrument, but it's relict. Okay, you guys can debate that. You know my feelings on it. What we're doing today is a restring and a setup. Customer has requested that we put flat wound electric guitar strings on. I've done it before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. They will have more tension than, say, acoustic strings sometimes. And wow, this guitar's got resonance. Now I'm gonna check. I'm just tuning it up. I'm gonna check a few things on it. Complaints are high action, and it seems like it's high, but let's measure it and see. The neck doesn't look too bad. I usually set acoustics pretty flat. It's got a little bit of forward bow in it. We're going to measure that, but what I really want to know is where is our string height when I get it with these strings on it. And yeah, no question, it's really high. It's above 8/64, 9/64 on the bass, and almost 8/64 on the treble. Yeah, that's unacceptable, especially on a guitar like this. I don't know if he's ever had it set up, but it doesn't matter. We're going to do it. So, yeah, beautiful instrument though. It's God, boy, it just sounds awesome. Really bright, sharp. Let's get the video here. I'm not going to try to make any adjustments with these strings on because we are changing to a pretty drastically different string, and I don't know how the instrument is going to react to that. So let's get these off and see where we go. Martin, put this stupid loop over and hook the string. So I'm going to pause while I take these off. That is one of my pet peeves. They put it through, they hook the string over the end over the string like that's locking it in, and it doesn't. I'm here to tell you it doesn't. All it does is make it a pain in the ass to take them off. That's the end of my rant on that, but stand by. So, yeah, one of my biggest pet peeves, as I said, is technicians, guitar guys, that string, they put it through, they wrap it around, and then they take the string and wrap it around underneath and pull it up. So not only does it make it impossible for the next guy to take the string off because it's literally a wire knot. When you snip it off, there's a nice sharp piece of string sticking straight up over here, waiting to cut somebody. I know I said it was the end of my rant on that, but I had to finish my point. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I have to go through that rant about techs stringing these guitars up like that. Unnecessary, and I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't lock the string in any more than the way I do it. First wrap above the string hole, every other wrap below the string hole. That locks your string in, it'll never move. Tying knots in it. Am I grumpy today? No. Just hit a raw nerve with that. Like I said, it's my favorite argument. wouldn't be surprised if they come from Martin like that. Wouldn't surprise me in the least little bit. Little boiled linseed oil on the fretboard, as I always do. And because we can, on the bridge too. Right? Just a little. Put it on, take it off. Open grain. Beautiful guitar though, I love it. Sounds so rich. Put it on, take it off. You can see the difference right away too. It just brings out the natural tone in the wood. And it does clean it and take off whatever's on there. Once a year, do this once a year. Unless the guitar is being exposed to outside elements or sun or what have you, depending on the playing environment. Once a year, minimum. I did polish the frets slightly. I don't think the guitar is that old. It didn't need much. They weren't that bad. I just cleaned them up a little bit before I put the oil on. I'm seeing a fair amount of tarnish come off from the frets though. So this part is done. As I said, it's just a restring and a setup. I mean, I do a setup every time I restring a guitar. Everybody likes to use that term, restring and setup. Now I know that our saddle is too tall because our string height is way high, and I know there isn't going to be enough adjustment there. I'm just going to jump to the conclusion that I'm going to take this saddle and shave it down a little bit. I'm going to measure and make a mark here, and we're going to sand it down. So stand by while I move the guitar, get my tile and sandpaper up here, and I'll show you how I do that. Alright, so I have a couple of things laid out here, and I want to try to explain this to you. We're at, give or take, on the bass side, 9/64. So why do I use 64? Because it's what I'm used to. It's the smallest measurement on your string gauge. Millimeter is not the smallest. 1/64 is about half a millimeter. So, you know, to try to split a millimeter is pretty hard to do, but you can do it with 64ths easier. It's just what I'm used to. So we need to come down, I'm going to say about 3/64 of an inch, give or take. That's going to be 1/64 is less than a half a millimeter. If you go to 3/64, it's about less than 1.5 millimeters. I'm using a conversion chart on the back of my string gauge, and I refer to it all the time. It'll give you an idea. So what I've done is taken and put a little black mark right there on the edge of my saddle. And we're going to start sanding it down. Now, yeah, I went through the hassle of measuring it and trying to figure it out, but I'm telling you, through doing 100 of these, take a Sharpie and just put a small line there. And you're going to be about 1.5 millimeters. Not the whole fat thing, you know, then you're into 3, 4, 5 millimeters. You're taking way too much off. We're talking about microns here, but it matters when you're talking about string height. And get a known flat surface, which is a piece of tile, right? And you go to it. I sometimes use the belt sander for this, but that's out in the shop, and it's going to take me a long time, you know, to get this down doing this method. And I can't film doing it on the belt sander, but it's the same principle. You're just going to keep going at it like this until basically we disappear that line that we put on there. And every once in a while, turn it around so you're doing it in both directions. And you can see what's coming off. This is the material I'm removing from the saddle. It's not hard. It is tedious this way, but you can do it. You just have to be careful. Go several turns this way and then spin it around and go the other way. That way you will always have it flat. And every once in a while, check your work and make sure it stays flat. You don't want it higher on one end or have a dip in it or the other way, especially that way it's going to rock on you. You want it flat. That's why you have to use a known flat surface. So stand by while I get through this little exercise and we'll be right back. So we are down to where I have disappeared the little black line that we put on the saddle. It's almost completely gone. You can see on this leading edge right here, right? It's almost completely gone. Every once in a while, like I said, check your work, make sure it's not leaning one way or the other or rocking. That's why we use a flat surface. And yeah, clean off your sandpaper. Every once in a while, so that you're not, you're not using a loaded up sandpaper. The sandpaper will load up like that and it's not really cutting. Double check, make sure you're nice and flat and make sure that it's nice and level so that it sits down in the bridge nicely, right? That part's done and we're good. I know. Now, this is a trial and error. I usually start off where I started off, depending on how high it is. I go, okay, it's 1.5 millimeters. Sometimes it's 2 millimeters that I'm trying to take down. But don't overdo it. Don't get overzealous, because if you go too low, you're going to end up having to put a shim underneath the saddle because you went too far. Or you're going to have to start all over again with a new saddle. And trust me, you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. So let's get our victim back up here. And we want it to go back in the same way. So sometimes they have the same striation, but usually the longer striation is going to go on the treble side. But if you really pay close attention, you can see where the wound string went and the wire string went. And that's the way it goes back in. All right. And I can tell you that we are definitely lower just by eyeball. And yeah. So, next. I don't know why he wants to put electric guitar strings on it, because you can't find flat wounds for an acoustic, or you can, but they're different. He's decided to go this route. We'll find out. I have done this before. I'm not saying it's kosher or it isn't. But that's what we're going to do. Where is my Tune It lube? I forgot to do this off camera, so I'm going to show you guys. You can put pencil in there. That works fine. Graphite lube is just the inside. Just take a pencil and fill in those, but it's black and it looks dirty. So what I use is Tune It lube, which is designed for this. You put a little dollop down on the bench and you use a toothpick to put it in there, right? I'm running out of places to put things. So just a bit on a toothpick And I mean just a little bit. That's all it takes down in the valley of the nut slot. And you'll get some in there. And after we string it up, we will wipe off the top of the strings and get any excess that might be. You don't want to leave the lube on there. This stuff is really nice. I stopped using pencil years ago. I mean, I'll use it in a pinch if I don't have this stuff, but I prefer to use it. It's called Tune It Lube. I believe it's from Music Nomad. Yeah, Music Nomad. Whatever. Just a little dollop. Put it in the nut slot, string slot. And try to keep your ball end, the hole going this way, and your bridge pin holds it straight. Measure to the next peg, bend it. Now, to continue on my rant, you measured, you bent it so you know where to stop. The first wrap is going to go above the string hole. The very next wrap, when that string hole comes around, you're going to go underneath it. Get your excess bent up out of the way. Every wrap, other wrap will go below in succession. There is no way that string is going to come undone. You do not have to hook the string under there and pull it back up. It doesn't do a thing. And now, when we get to the point where we want to cut it off, tune up the pitch. We're going to snip it off nice and even, and the sharp edge will be pointing that way, not straight up. There's always going to be a little bit of a sharp edge, but you're not going to hit it errantly on the top, right? Done. That one's, and I tune them as I go. So I just put the low E on. We're going to put the A on. And follow the same procedure as best that you can. Sometimes the ball end will turn on you, but try to keep it straight so the hole is going that way. Same thing, measure to the next peg. If it wants to live here, measure to the next peg, put a bend in it. The bend is so you know where to stop. That'll be just enough string to have at least two wraps, one above and one below, and maybe a little extra. So I just put the A string on, I tuned that one, and I went back and tuned the low E. And do that every time. So when we put the D on, I'm going to go back, not only tune that D string, I'm going to go back and retune the A, retune the E each time I go around. So by the time I get done, the wire strings aren't going to need to stretch as much as the wound strings do. And it helps pre-stretch them as you're going. Every string that you put on, it's going to put more tension on the neck, and then you have to go back and bring these back up to pitch. And by the time you get done, they're already pre-stretched for the most part. Stand by. All right, so all the strings are on. Make sure we're tuned up to pitch. And like I said, if you go around each time and come back and do each string that you've already done, as you're stringing it up, by the time you get to the end, they should be pre-stretched. You don't have to do that on an acoustic. I don't like on an electric guitar, you know, stretch them. I don't like to do that on an acoustic. It's just me. It's not a solid body. It's not bolts. Things are glued. It's a different kind of instrument, and I don't believe in that. So that's my take. Now, boy, what a beautiful instrument. Here comes the moment of truth. Let's see where our string height is without looking at the neck yet. Where are we? Did we come down? Yes, we came down a lot. I'm looking for 6 to 7/64. We were at 9. We came down to 7, right at 7. And on the treble side, we were at 5. That is acceptable. In fact, it's much better than it was. Now, there may be, we might get lucky, and there may be a little bit more here in the neck, but not much. Not much. I'm going to look for like 8/64 on an acoustic. Grab at the body. Yeah, that's about as good as you can get. It's really close. There is, I can see just ever so slightly a little bit of relief in the neck, and it measures that way. And I'm gonna live with that. I'm gonna call it a success just by shaving down the saddle. This particular instrument does not. I'm not going to adjust the truss rod and make the neck straighter. I want just the slightest little bit of relief in that neck, and that's what's going to make it play. And I can guarantee those 2/64 that we lowered, or 1.5 millimeters, is all the difference. Yeah, it's all the difference in the world. Right? I love this guitar. Weird. We put electric guitar strings on it, flat wounds. We did cut the saddle down, and I am so happy the way that turned out, and I'm going to leave it like that. I am sure the client will notice a difference in the way that it plays. We had a conversation. As soon as I looked at it, I said, the string action is way high on this. It must be a little difficult to play, especially when you get past the money zone and get into this area, which you don't a lot unless you're capoed or, you know, playing something different. He's a jazz type player, you know, he plays all kinds of stuff, but I think that's why he's attracted to flat wounds. We put it on all of his instruments. But that's it. She's ready to go. I met a gin-soaked barroom queen. It's Blackjack with 396 guitars. We got a really nice D28 here. It's relic. It's a cool instrument. Customer did something a little bit different. We put electric guitar strings on it, flat wounds. We did have to cut the saddle down just to get that action down a little bit. Not a lot, but enough to make a difference. We'll talk soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe.